This is Gear Fluent. Today we're going to be talking about my favorite piece of equipment for sure. Is the Garmont tactical boot. I've got a couple of different models here. I actually have a third model. It's this version with Gore-Tex. So these ones are not waterproof. These are hot weather, arid conditioned boots. The tennis shoe style is super nice. Obviously I've done, I don't know how many miles in this pair. This is my older pair. I got this one to start breaking them in. Not a super long break-in time, but I don't want to have time in between boots. So these ones probably still have a few hundred miles in them. The tread is starting to wear a little flat, but I've done probably well over 1,000 miles. I don't know if I've done multiple thousands of miles in these things, but they are trusty and they are comfy. What I will say about boots, when you're buying any kind of footwear, each company makes their boots or their shoes or whatever based on a certain foot model. That model of a foot is what they're going to build all of their shoes around. So like for instance Converse, right? Converse tends to be a lot bigger than and slimmer than normal shoes, and it's because they're using a bigger, slimmer foot model. The Garmont works, absolutely perfectly for my shape and size of foot. It's I've got a pretty high arch, and the support in here, when you first buy a Garmont boot, you're going to notice that you feel like you're walking sort of on like platforms. You're going to feel taller, and after a few miles, I'd say maybe only 5 or 10 miles, that platform's going to break down and mold around your foot. It's fantastic. All the way down to like there's almost like there's a super satisfying just like click, and it's not, I can't really even explain it, but it's fantastic. Putting your foot into here, you can feel your heel just lock in, and it's one of the most satisfying things in the world. So these are the regular combat boots. Those are good. If you've spent any time around any military guys, you've probably seen these all the time. They are in accordance with the U.S. military uniform regulations. You can wear them. At least Army and Air Force can. These guys are not regulation compliant boots. However, they serve a pretty excellent purpose just on the civilian side. These guys, the amount of thought that was put into this boot, and shoot, let's see. Oh yeah, this is the Nemesis 6.0. This is the Gore-Tex version, so it is waterproof and surprisingly breathable. It's advertised as a hot weather boot, and I've used it a lot in pretty arid conditions, and I've never felt like I had hot feet or sweaty feet in them. They're wonderful. Like I said, just the thought that went into this. It's a very sensual boot, if you can say that. This thing just molds perfectly around the foot. It's got the same thing where you sort of feel like it's up on a platform for a while when you're walking in it, and then it'll break down around your foot. But these guys, they are waterproof, they're breathable, they're a little bit shorter, which is nice for the hotter weather. They also make a 4-inch version, so instead of having these 3 sort of bevels on the back here, there's just those top 2 are gone. So it's a much shorter boot, a lot closer to a hiking shoe. I don't know. I like the extra support around the ankle. These things are sweet because as you're when you cinch it all up and you get your boots tied, there's, well, yeah, here, let's see. there's a pocket on the tongue here where you can just stuff your extra laces up into there, and they're not flopping around, they're not getting caught on, you know, sticks and weeds as you're hiking through the desert or whatever. Very, very nice boot. My one complaint with these guys is the sole. The sole's fantastic in dry conditions. Despite having this ridge here under the toe, which a lot of the time boot manufacturers are going to advertise that as like a chain link climbing feature, this does not do that very well. You've got this big flat portion up on the top here on the toe, and you can get over a fence obviously, but your boot is not going to be doing any favors getting over there. But this thing, I have completely loved it. You get the same, you know, you feel your heel just drop in and lock there. Yeah, I absolutely love these boots as well. Again, that's the Nemesis 6.0. The 6 is for the inches, and then they have the Nemesis 4.0 as well. These also come in black. I never do black footwear for anything that I'm going to be wearing outside. Like my gym shoes are black, but I'm inside the gym, because once you go outside, that sun's just going to bake your feet, and it is not comfortable. Like I said, okay, so this is the, what is this called? The T8 NFS, that's November Foxtrot Sierra, stands for Need for Speed, 670. This is the regular. They do make a wide version, which is not something that I need, but it's, you know, good that they have it for people who do. Super breathable, super light boot. It's fantastic, and you can see even after hundreds at least of miles, they still look fantastic. These guys are a little dirty from the last time I brought them out, but and that was in pretty wet conditions. With wool socks, honestly, like I pair these with Darn Tough wool socks, and the Darn Tough socks plus the Garmont Boots. I've never had a hot spot, let alone a blister. They make a Gore-Tex version of these. I think I said that already. I do have the Gore-Tex version, non-insulated but waterproof. They make an insulated winter boot. I recommend going for an insulated boot if you're doing any kind of prolonged movement, just because you're going to be so sweaty and uncomfortable, and when you stop, your feet are just going to get cold. If you're going to be standing in place for long periods of time, absolutely grab the winterized or the insulated boot. The Gore-Tex ones I don't have out here because they're actually packed in my bag for a trip I'm going on this month. But again, a super comfy boot, much more rigid than these. You can see these are sort of, you know, floppy. They're very tennis shoe-like as far as comfort levels go. But the waterproof ones, the Gore-Tex ones, they're super rigid in the ankle here. Still compliant with Army and Air Force uniform regulations. I don't know if the Navy's on that boat yet or not. Gore-Tex boot. So I haven't had time to test out the waterproofness of those. I will be having an extended opportunity here coming up, like I said, but and I'll probably make a separate video on those. Very excited to get to test those out in the field for a couple of weeks. This guy, the break-in time on these guys and these guys is much shorter than the break-in time on the waterproof boots. I bought the waterproof boots maybe a month ago to start breaking them in preparation for this trip, and they're just not they're not as comfy. They're heavier for sure, they're less breathable for sure, but still a super well built boot. These guys are built in northern Italy, I want to say. Oh, nope. Designed in northern Italy, made in Vietnam. The tread on these guys, very good tread. It's got a lot of just little knobs in there that grab onto everything. My only complaint is probably with these ones, with the Nemesis. The tread on the bottom of those, while it is a Vibram tread, tends to be pretty slippery on wet surfaces, or if you cross a river, then then you're walking on rocks, the sole is super slick. So watch out for that. As long as you're in dry terrain though, or like mashable terrain, like dirt or gravel, you're gonna be just fine with these. So I think that'll do it for our first video on the channel. It's Gear Fluent, and I guess, you know, do what you do on YouTube. Yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching.